स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं रूपगोस्वामिप्रपाद विजय शुभपाद विजय गौरभक्तमन विजय. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Status Q, Chapter 16. I think Chapter 16 title is Jaya and Vijaya. The two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya, cursed by the sages, verse number 30 and 31. Etat puraiva nirdishtam ramaya krudaya yada pura apavarita vishanti mayuparate. Etat puraiva nirdishtam ramaya krudaya yatha pura apavarita dvari vishanti mayuparate. Etat puraiva nirdishtam ramaya krudaya yatha pura apavarita dvari vishanti mayuparate. Word to word. Etat, this departure, pura, far, certainly, nirdishtam, foretold, ramaya, by Lakshmi, krudaya, furious, yada, when, at the gate, vishanti, entering, mayi, as I, uparate, was resting. Translation by doing this is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. Repeat. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. Or some, it doesn't have purport. So 31. Mai sambramba yogena nistirya brahmahelanam pratyayeshyatam nikasam me kalena alpiyasa punaha. Mai sambramba yogena pratyeshyatam nikasam me kalena alpiyasa punaha. Mai, unto me, sambrahma yogena, by the practice of mystic yoga, in anger, nistirya, being liberated from brahmahelanam, the result of the disobedience to the brahmanas. Pratyeshyatam, will come back, nikasam, near me, kalena, in due course of time. Alpi yasa, very short, punaha, again. Translation by Prabhupada. The Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas, and within a very short time return to me. The Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be disobeying, return to me. Purport by Prabhupada, the Supreme Personality of Godhead advised the two doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, that by dint of the Bhakti Yoga in anger, they would be delivered from the curses of the Brahmanas. You see that line, the difference? So that's why we need to understand everything through Acharyas. The translation reads, by practicing mystic yoga. Then we may tend to take it as mystic yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Ratha yoga. But here you'll see the purport. By dint of Bhakti yoga in anger, they would be delivered from action. That by practicing Bhakti yoga, one can become free from all sinful reactions. Even a Brahma Shapa or a curse by a Brahmana, which cannot be overcome by any other means, can be overcome by Bhakti yoga. One can practice Bhakti yoga in many rasas. There are 12 rasas, 5 primary, 7 secondary. The 5 primary rasas constitute direct Bhakti yoga. But although the 7 secondary indirect, they are also counted within Bhakti. They are used in the service of the Lord In other words, Bhakti Yoga is all inclusive. If one somehow or the other, the gopis were attracted to Krishna by Bhakti Yoga, and the same as our thinking of materialist. This is spiritual. So giving enjoyment, pleasure to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada is speaking here. Similarly, Kamsa was attached to Bhakti Yoga by dint of fear of his death. Thus, Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that even becoming an enemy of the Lord and always thinking Bhakta Smrto Daiva Asurastad Viparyaya. Devotees of Lord Vishnu are called demigods, whereas non-devotees are called asuras. But Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that both demigods and asuras can derive its benefits. They always think of the personality of Godhead. The basic principle of Bhakti Yoga is to think of the Supreme Lord always. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18.6, Manmana Bhav Mad Bhakto. Always think of me. It doesn't matter which way one thinks. The very thought of the personality of Godhead is the basic principle of Bhakti Yoga. Big purport. In the material planet, there are different grades of sinful activities, of which disrespecting a Brahmana or a Vaishnava is the most sinful. Here it is clearly stated that one can overcome even that grave sin simply by thinking of Vishnu, not even favorably, but in anger. Thus, even if those who are not devotees always think of Vishnu, they become free from all sinful activities. Krishna consciousness is the highest form of thought. Lord Vishnu is the thought of in this age by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. From the statements of the Bhagavatam, it appears that if one thinks of Krishna even as an enemy, that particular qualification, thinking of Vishnu or Krishna, cleanses one of all sins. Wow. I will try to understand. I didn't know today I'm giving class, so please forgive me. I'm not able to live up to the standard of the purport of the Mr. Prabhupada. So, Divine Gajasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. So let's look at the previous verse number 30 translation. Here, Prabhupada, here it's mentioned. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. So this is, as I discussed, and there are many reasons, especially if we cannot understand many times reasons of why Vaishnava acts in certain, especially the pure devotee of the Lord acts in certain way also. So it's very difficult to understand. But Lord Vishnu is giving. So one of the reasons here, because of the past activity, you stopped goddess fortune from coming in because I was sleeping. So that's why, because of that offense, so you are being receiving the reaction now. So, and also I have mentioned before the various reasons, the desire of the they were Jay and Vijay were thinking how Lord will fight. So we are not. It should be enemy. It should be an enemy so that he can fight vigorously. So combat nicely. So that's why while they were discussing on desires, and Lord has granted. So Lord also has a desire, and then another instance of Lakshmi, they were thinking of how Lord, while massaging itself, is making sound, is not able to take. Then how he is fighting demons? We heard so. So in that way, all these and many other reasons. So that's why. So Jaya Vijaya being cursed, showing example how to tolerate, how to be stand clear of giving instructions to spiritual masters, stand clear of obstructing a Vaishnava, stand clear of any offenses to the devotees of the Lord, or for that matter, any living entity. As Rupa Goswami gives, out of 64 items of offenses, one of them is also so not to offend any living entity for that matter. Let's look at the purport of this verse. So we can relate. We'll see depending on time. There's one verse clearly. There's one whole chapter on this blasphemy of Vaishnavas from Harinam Chintamani. We'll see if time comes, time permits. And there is also beautiful description from Chaitanya Bhagavat related to this aspect. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying how much it is. He is so close to the devotees. It's just amazing. If you read you can understand the gravity of the value and the position of the Brahmanas, position of the especially the exalted devotees. So Lord is always running behind them, is just controlled by them, even though he's not controlled by anyone, but he is controlled by them. So, which is very interesting. And here we will read. So let's look at the purport quickly and then see. The first, Supreme Personality God advised to Jay and Vijay by the dint of Bhakti Yoga in anger, they would be delivered from the curse of the Brahmanas. And then Madhya Prabhupada is quoting, one can become, by practicing Bhakti Yoga, one can become free from all sinful reactions. Even a Brahma Sap are the cursed by Brahmana. So that's why we know in Bhakti Yoga what we do. Every day we are supposed to go down and do the Pradakshina of Tulsi Maharani, where we're chanting Yani Kani Papan, Brahma Hatya Adhikani. Even Brahma Hatya also, as it is mentioned. So that can be contracted. So because Tulsi Maharani is always at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So that's why by serving her, by begging forgiveness, we can be relieved of these offenses. This is part of the Bhakti Yoga, including before Radha and Krishna's marriage, even Lord Shiva becoming Gopi, by the mercy of, by instruction of Tulsi Maharani. There is great detail of description from Garga Samhita, Tulsi Sevamrita, I think, I forget the chapter title. In that whole description, verses after verses, Lalita and Vishaka are describing how one should worship Tulsi Maharani. So they instructed Srimad Radharani asking, I think, I forget, Purnamasi or who that was. Then they mentioned that you should worship Tulsi Maharani. By that you can attain Krishna. Then Lalita and Vishaka Sakhi were explaining all the verses in great detail, describing how important it is and what one should do, how to worship. It is mentioned there, even the Abhishek to Tulsi Maharani, Panchamrita Abhishek, all those aspects, various details are mentioned. But what is important, what we are supposed to do within our means, Prabhupada has given. So by strictly following that, so we'll be able to come out of it. So that's why Prabhupada is making the first point is by practicing Bhakti Yoga. And yesterday our Sarvadruk Prabhu is also mentioning important words, how by Bhakti Yoga, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktiya Vasudeva Parayana Agam Dhanvanti Karsne Niharam Eva Bhaskara. So sometimes when the fire, things may dry up and everything, but it may sprout up again after 10 years, 20 years or 100 years, things may sprout up. But by bhakti, it will remove even the ones which are there in the heart for lying down for many lifetimes, many lifetimes. So that also it can, karmani nirdahati, not even dahati, but nirdahati. Bhakti Vajam Govindamadi Purushottamaham Bhajan. So it has that potency, provided we are fully surrendered, provided we are chanting without offenses, provided we are not chanting, we are not making offenses, not criticizing. As well, the criticizing devotees must be given up. I'll give you Prabhupada's example. Disciples of Prabhupada sharing this pastime. When Prabhupada came, so many devotee disciples, full packed up the devotees, and all devotees were complaining. This devotee said, Prabhupada, this devotee is doing this. Prabhupada, this devotee. Prabhupada didn't utter a word. They went on speaking all this, and Prabhupada just waited. Then he took his cane, just whirled the cane towards all of them, and then he told, you all came to just discourage. I came here to encourage. A significant point. So we all have to consider this point very carefully throughout the life, throughout our days, I think, day after every day. So I think we have to be reminded of this pastime of Sri Prabhupada so that we'll stop criticizing, we'll start encouraging everybody. We'll try to not find fault, except the leaders who then, because they have duty to perform, so they may do, but we all others, we should be of thought, always encourage, don't criticize. Rather, you can ask as a question or instruct in such a way that it is beneficial for them. So you may want to do like this in this way, or you may not want to do this, or in that way you can say, rather criticizing, even though you may be wrong, but it is not helpful neither for us nor for him. So that's why criticism of a devotee is not put at all in Bhakti Yoga process. So that is one must be. Prabhupada is showing that always encourage. That's what the God brothers, even though they are disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, but constantly they didn't encourage Prabhupada at all. This investment mentality, attitude is there. So that's why we have to be very careful of this different behaviors in our hearts. We should be careful. But so Prabhupada is at the same time is very protective. You mentioned, means Prabhupada has he can say again is demigods what they have done. But if disciples say something, then he never liked it. Because they are not of that position to say something about his God brothers, because they are senior devotees. And Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur also we see examples. Oh, that devotee used to always criticize or say something. But how can he went back to God? Prabhupada said, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur also said, some of his disciples, even though he was of that nature, because they have engaged in devotion service very sincerely, seriously throughout their life. So, by the mercy of a pure devotee, spiritual master is there. Okay, all right. He might have committed some, but his blessing is there. Then Krishna had to promise, even though he might have done something, some wrongs, but he had to take him back to Vaikuntha. So that's why we have to dependent on the mercy of spiritual master. That's why when we bow down, you are supposed to ask. Guru Prabhupada said in one pastime, I think his disciples are reading. If you do every day like this, this is another pastime. Every day like this, attending Guru Puja. I can tell from my experience. When I attended Mangalarti program in the beginning of 2008, late 2008 or 2009, for many years, that is what actually making me keeping me in Krishna consciousness. Actually, those first few years of attending Mangalarti, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, whole Mangalarti and chanting and serving the Vaishnavas, cooking, all those aspects. That is what actually made me go in this path very seriously. So that's why Prabhupada established morning program, especially Guru Puja. Prabhupada is making that point. If you all attend Guru Puja every day like this, so many disciples came together and did the Guru Puja, then you will never quarrel, you will never discourage, you will always cooperate with each other. You all serve together, because in Guru Puja at the end, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to ask for forgiveness from Guru for all your offenses. So that means the same way you think of devotees, Vaishnavas, we offended also. So this is one must do every day when you offer obeisances to Prabhupada. And then also you are supposed to think of Guru, and then you are supposed to ask for forgiveness from your offenses. This is 3 times a day we are supposed to chant of the Samsaradava prayer. There it is mentioned 3 times you are supposed to remember spiritual master. Each time you remember, you ask for forgiveness. So this is where you constantly think of encouraging devotees and Vaishnavas and cooperating rather than discouraging. So this attitude must be very much developed. This is the first and foremost point from the first paragraph. Let's look at from the second paragraph. One can practice Bhakti Yoga in many rasas. Yes, this paragraph Prabhupada is talking. First thing, Lord Krishna himself is making this point clear in Bhakti Yoga in middle 6th chapter. First and foremost point, Lord Krishna is making this. Maya asakta mana pardha yoga means madashtaya. That asakti has different connotations there. That asakti is first connotation Prabhupada makes in his so many lectures. 7th chapter, if you read, at least there are 30 lectures or more. On 7th chapter, especially first few verses, is speaking so many lectures. You can understand the significance of the first verse. The asakti is nothing but 5 direct attachment, 5 principal rasas. Prabhupada is making that point. Asakti, if you want to be developed attachment, deep attachment to Lord Krishna and his devotees, then you must be following these 5 primary rasas. In introduction, also Prabhupada is making that point in the Bhagavad Gita. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. These are the 5. Devotees should be concerned about these 5 primary rasas. Not so much of the 7 second, those are Gauna rasa, secondary. Even though they produce the result, this is the result of Bhakti Yoga. Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya. So, but we should come to this Kevala Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti. So, one point attention to serve the Supreme Lord in because personally that means there should be more dasya, more sakya, vatsalya, madhurya if we're at that level, but more than even samta. So you tend to lead on to that more and more. You want to serve always. So that is a mood. If you want to develop asakti, Krishna is making you hear first. If you want to develop asakti, you must hear. If you are not hearing at all, you are simply chanting. If you are Haridas Thakur, then it's fine. If you are not of that caliber, that's fine. But you are just simply chanting, I don't need to be in the association or here, then it's not going to develop any attachment whatsoever. You might be worshipping the deity, whatever, but it's not going to do attachment. Sravanam is the point. So even we'll not be able to hear the holy name properly because we haven't heard what is a devotee who have to stand clear from these offenses. As Harinam Chintamani is speaking here, blasphemy of Vaishnavas. So Haridas is answering, by your power I will say what you make one say. Offenses to the holy name are analyzed as 10 according to the scripture. One should be fearful of committing these offenses. There is quoting the 10. These shall be, the first offense known as sadhu, ninda, criticism of Vaishnavas is very harmful for those wanting to progress in spiritual life. First, let us define what sadhu or Vaishnava is. In 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna enumerates to Uddhava the characteristic of sadhu. Dayalu, merciful, Sahishnu, tolerant, Sama, equal, Droha Sunya Vrata, penances without injury of the body. So this is important. There is the last chapters of Bhagavad Gita. You see that people may do austerity, charity, but what for? What is the purpose? That consciousness is the main thing. Is in line. We have to understand with what mood we do the bhakti. So we are looking for some other results, benefits. What mood charity will do? What mood we do the Ekadasi Vrata? So what is the mood? So this must be understood, or otherwise we'll be doing in passion, ignorance, goodness. We should do completely. Offer your results. Why do we do pradakshina more times? 4 rounds is for us. 4 rounds is to give. If your spiritual master to be healthier, to be more, get revived, or for others' benefit, somebody is about to die, you offer, do those 4 pradakshinas for them. You chant extra round for them. So, this we are always thinking to how to serve spiritual master. Whatever, if spiritual master said something, you make that word, and whole life you have to remember. So, how significant and important it is to understand this mercifulness, compassion, so much spiritual master was given. Why should I discourage anybody? Why should I obstruct? Why should I make offenses to Vaishnavas? So why not I do positive things more? I am thinking negative things always. So this is a point. By these characters, one can know who is a sadhu. However, here there are 2 types of characteristics: principal and marginal. The principal characteristic is exclusive surrender to Krishna. That is the foremost point. Exclusive surrender to the spiritual master, especially, while all others are dependent upon it. By some good fortune, one may get the association of Vaishnavas and then attain a taste for the name, chant the name, and take shelter of Krishna's room. This becomes the chief characteristic. And by continuing to chant the name, all other characteristics make their appearance. Therefore, they are called marginal or accompanying. And so, those secondary to the principal character, they will certainly appear in the body of a true Vaishnava or sadhu as an effect of the proper chanting of the holy name. On the other hand, the status of a Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana of the Varnashrama system and their respective habits and qualities are external distinctions that in no way determine who is a sadhu. The chief characteristic of a sadhu is his complete surrender to Krishna, which is not dependent on a certain varna or ashram. So this way it is continued. Our time is up. So, but you can understand the gravity of understanding who is a sadhu, the position of spiritual master. It is not based on grihastha, brahmachara, vanaprastha, sannyas, what they externally look like. It is more deep toward how much they are fully surrendered, how much they are following Sri Prabhupada. If one wants to know who is spiritual master, then you have to look at what Sri Prabhupada instructed. If you read Sri Prabhupada book, then you know who is Bonafide spiritual master, what qualification of spiritual master should be. So if you don't read books, you don't hear from Sri Prabhupada, then how do you know who is Bonafide? That means you will use your own speculations. So that's why we have to read Prabhupada's books, and you have to hear at least a few minutes a day while driving, while taking a bath. Somehow or the other, you have to hear. You can only kick out. I told Prabhupada is making that point. I can kick out. You are telling so many anarthas are there. I can kick out with one stroke because we are not hearing Prabhupada regularly. So that's why we have problem. Or we have to hear from Guru. Prabhupada also we should hear. Because Gurus, their disciples of Prabhupada are hearing regularly from Prabhupada. So why we shouldn't hear? Why we don't want to follow our Guru? Why we want to ask everybody else? We ask after initiation for everything. But why don't we ask Guru or his representative? Why don't we write? Then that means we didn't understand what the initiation means. Initiation means you are fully surrendered. Your body, everything given to Guru. You have no choice to ask somebody else. First, you should ask Guru, then somebody else, especially the serious matters, important things. So, moving away from different things, then you have to ask. The important aspects of life, even though it seems needs to be material, but it is connected with your progress of devotion service. Don't take any actions abruptly because you are qualified or because somebody else will give you because somebody else has followed. Do we have enough qualifications for us go to move away from one place to another place? No. That must be defined and given by spiritual master. That's what Guru and disciple means. So we cannot use our own speculations. It's very important to progress in devotion service. Write to your Guru. Discuss with your Guru any important matters. Don't take your own decisions because some other Maharaj said, or some other disciple said, or some other did this. No, that's not your qualification. You should be checked with Guru. So that must be understood. Then you can progress. Otherwise, it's difficult. So we'll stop here. Much more to say on this topic from Chaitanya Bhagavatam, Harinam Chintamani, and purport. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Thank you, Krishnananda. Okay, we'd like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day and week ahead. The auspicious week, start of Pitru Paksha, worship of the ancestors from yesterday. Well, this week and next week. So, especially in this time, we can read Srimad Bhagavatam, chant the holy name of the Lord, and worship the Guru Varga and Lord Krishna more, so that the ancestors get more sukruti from the devotional service which you perform. Okay. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sina Singha, Jaina Singha, Jaina Singha, Praladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Ugraviram Mahavishnu Galpatam Sarvabhautam Namamyam. Singha Bhagwan ki jai, Maharaj ki jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Krsna Namananda.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.